Hi, welcome back for Module 2 of Time to Shine. This is your self-discovery program, and if you completed Module 1 fully, then you have probably done a lot of discovery already. I want to acknowledge you for digging in on your head and your heart and doing the work to clear and release. Module 2 is really brilliant, and so you may have just begun the discovery process. I'm guessing you did a lot of journaling, a lot of finding, and so let's talk about what we can do with that. All right, so Module 2, the title of it is Own. Ownership. So what we're going to own is we're going to be discovering what's in the way. You did a lot of that. So we're discovering what's in the way. We are meeting your ego, hearing your inner critic, admitting insecurities, surfacing fears, feeling feelings, identifying barriers and roadblocks, realizing your victimhood, and touching the edges of your comfort zone. I love this module so much. It's so messy. And I want to start about meeting your ego. This is many of my clients' first time hearing, you are not the voice in your head. And from now on, I'd love for you to consider that when you're hearing that voice, you can imagine it as an entity outside of you who's ultimately looking out for you. Write this down. Our ego's job is to keep us safe, comfortable, and looking good. That's our ego's job. You are in your ego when you're behaving like that. Staying safe. You don't rock the boat. You behave. You follow rules. Again, you people please, right? Staying safe, staying comfortable. You might not say what there is to say or do what there is to do. So a lot of times we're compromising our integrity when we're in our ego because we're mostly self-preservation, mostly protecting ourselves and looking good. That's the juicy one. We will do a lot of things to stay looking good, right? We will not put ourselves out there. We will not stick our necks out on the line to do what's good or right and not good or right in a righteous way, but in integrity. We will compromise our integrity to stay looking good to people that we're not necessarily interested in looking good to, but we're just protecting ourselves. And we're mostly protecting ourselves from rejection or whatever other fears we have, which is part of ownership, admitting our insecurities and surfacing fears and feeling our feelings, identifying barriers and roadblocks. Most of us haven't openly admitted our insecurities. I work with a lot of women and men, but I notice that women feel intimidated or unwelcomed by other women, particularly in group settings. That often comes from childhood, whether that's active rejection or not being invited, that looks and not feeling a certain way, hearing a certain thing, getting certain types of feedback. I mean, the options are really endless. I know that you get that on a deep level. We have to be able to admit what our insecurities are. You cannot shift what you cannot see. So if you can't see it, if you can't put words to it, if you can't name it, you can't shift it. And that's why doing this digging and this work is so valuable and important. Admitting those insecurities, surfacing the fears like being unlovable and not enough and too much and, whatever else you've really internalized. What I would have you consider here is, what conclusions did I draw about myself as a child? What conclusions did I draw about life? What conclusions did I draw about relationships? Two really powerful statements that you can journal on at this point are people are ... and the world is ... And so people are assholes. People are unfair. People are unkind. People are flaky. People, it goes on and on. The world is unsafe. The world is cold. The world is hateful. The world is falling apart. We have these worldviews and these views of people and relationships and then ourselves. I am. You could finish statements like I am and get really clear about the filters that you're looking through, the identities from which you are living your life, feeling feelings about all that. You guys, feelings are the most patient thing in existence. They will wait their turn to be felt. There's a Hearts Unleashed podcast episode called Feelings Are Meant to Be Felt. It's a really powerful addition to this module. Feelings, they stay stored. I mentioned that in module 1. Those feelings stay stored in our body, our memory, our trauma. It's all here until we surface it, right? And so we might distract ourselves. We have spent so much of our life distracting ourselves, staying busy. The world is very loud. And so all that chatter, even the chatter of our inner critic, will prevent us from really hearing what's going on within us. Because the moment we spend time in some silence, or as soon as we spend time in stillness, it wants to surface. The feelings come first. But there's good news about this, I promise. If you're willing to feel your feelings, they really only last about 3 to 7 minutes. I promise, I promise, I promise. And if you will lean all the way in and you feel sad, and you feel sad on purpose, and you let that sadness wash over you, and you go into the depths of that sadness, and you just feel into it, and you ache, and you cry, and you wail, and you lament, and you feel sorry for yourself, and you have that pity party, and you throw that temper tantrum, and maybe anger's right behind it, and then you feel that anger, and you pound, and you grit, and it will exhaust itself. I like to say it's like traffic that's bottlenecked. So like when we go from like 4 lanes down to 1 lane because there's construction, of course there's the bottlenecking of everybody trying to go to 1 lane. When you have decades worth of feelings that are unfelt and you're going to feel one, they're like, me next, me next, me next. And so they want to rush out because that's the one time you've opened the valve. And so if you actively open the valve regularly, and you exhaust them, there's less to feel and it's less intense. And some days when there's grief, it is intense and it's not going to kill you. I need you to know your feelings are not going to kill you. This is very important because we have an immense fear of processing our stuff, as if processing trauma specifically. I go into deep, deep trauma with people. And they come out alive every single time, and healed. They come out healed every single time. A new layer of weight off, a new level of forgiveness complete, a new level of self-love accessed, a new level of freedom reached. And so feel your feelings. And that bottlenecking, eventually there's an end to that. And if you have new grief, it gets to be new grief. So if you let out decades worth and you get all caught up, it's like the dishes. What if you didn't do the dishes for a decade? What would that be like? But if you did them every day or every 2 days or at least once a week, wouldn't it be overwhelming? It's the same with our feelings. You can keep up with that. Now, there's a lot of you I know avoiding the dishes and avoiding the laundry and cleaning toilet bowls. So maybe that's your reminder to do that too. That's an integrity topic that we'll get to later. So I just want to take a look back over the last of this, identifying barriers and roadblocks. We will get into this. We're still in restorative coaching, so you can tell that this would restore you if you did this work, right? It would clear a lot. It would take those wet blankets off to bring you back to being you. And what I want to say is that there's a lot of people with really big goals and big dreams and a big life purpose, a huge mission and message, but you can't go forward with all that baggage. And so you must drop the baggage. And when you do, you can get to those goals. You can manifest so much more quickly. That's why identifying the barriers and roadblocks, specifically that other one, realizing your victimhood is impeding your process so much. If you remain a victim of he hurt me, she hurt me, he did this, she did this, I'm this way, they're that way. If you stay a victim and you continue to speak that and affirm that and relive that and dwell in that, that is what is true for your life. That is the potential of the life you will live, because it's what you're continually speaking over your life. You are taking your past and actively bringing it into your present. And it's very likely you're projecting it into your future. And so it's time to realize your victimhood and declare the end of it. Declare a new future. Declare a new you. You get to do that. And because of it, that last one, touching the edges of your comfort zone. if you take on the work of module 1 and 2 fully, you will feel yourself. So if you're in your comfort zone, right in the center, right there, and you're doing the work of moving out, because right in here, right in the center is, it's his fault. People are this way. The world is that way. I'm stuck. It's because I'm this. It's because that happened to me, right? Like you're just sitting out in the middle on your cozy little sofa, like not moving, not changing, just thinking about it, complaining about it, wishing about it. But when you do this work, you start to dislodge things. You start to shake things up that automatically create movement. And I want to teach you one of my favorite things, which is the law of transformation, which I totally made up, but I've watched it be true time after time, is by nature, when an element transforms, the elements around it transform as well. So when you start to clear your head and your heart of your grudges, you literally set other people free of the chains you've wrapped around them. When you forgive, when you heal, when you love yourself, when you shine, other people see it, and you give them permission to look inward and shine as well. When you start to make more money, you create a new possibility for the people around you. When people see you happy, when people witness you overcome a challenge, instead of something that used to take you out for days and weeks and months on end, and it's just a blip, it's just a moment, or it doesn't even catch your attention anymore, people will notice, and it will transform them. It will transform their relationship with you, but it will transform their relationship with possibility and with the world. And it will have them inquiring, what's she drinking? What's she doing? What's he working on? Where'd he get that attitude from? What changed? What's happening? And they'll begin to inquire. That's true directly in relationships, but it's also true with the universe, with that reverberation. The universe is a giant mirrored room that responds to you. So whatever you put out bounces right back. What are you putting out? What do you want to be putting out? Because this work is about clearing what you've been putting out, because I'm sure if you're in this, you don't like what you're getting back. It's time to transform. It's time to discover who you really are as a light, as a gift, as something to be out in the world contributing. And I'm not saying you have to start some foundation or big mission or message. I'm just saying you get to live as light, as love. I get so excited about it. Take on this work. There's going to be a journaling prompt. There's going to be a coaching call. There's going to be a mastermind call. Whatever program you're in whatever fashion you're doing this process, do some digging, do some journaling, do some mirror work. Sit in front of the mirror and take a look at yourself and how you identify and who you think you are, and call out that deepest, greatest part of you and give her permission to live unleashed. Thank you for joining me for Module 2 of Time to Shine. Let's get ready for Module 3. I'll see you there.